Hey everyone, welcome to Bowie and Burns Take 5. This is our weekly podcast. We record it live every Friday. We take 5 topics that are interesting to us, spend 5 minutes a piece, and we give you our various takes on them.
Yes, and Jerry Bowie is a digital forensics expert.
Indeed, Cassie Burns is a tech attorney.
All
Uh,
right.
I'm wearing this cowboy hat, by the way, Cassie, in your honor, because I know you're headed out to Austin at the end of the month. You want to tell us a little
That's
bit
right.
about that?
That's right. Yeah, I am going to Consensus in Austin. It'll be on crypto conference, and I really excited, a little worried that I don't know if I can handle like the activities going on. I've already seen a list of all of the different parties, offsite parties, and it's a lot. So down
Hey,
Jerry and crash a few parties.
I just might. Yeah, the drive isn't too bad from Dallas Fort Worth, and I've made the drive before, and I really like
Mhm.
Austin. Obviously, do you enjoy going down there? Good,
I do,
good, good.
it's not as much fun when it's really, really hot, but yeah.
Oh, indeed. And you want to jump into our first mutual take, or do you want to chit chat a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah, let's roll right into it. And that is self-branding, right?
It is self branding or personal branding. It's kind of like what we're talking about with your trip or your opportunity. You are speaking at Consensus, which is a big deal. It's a huge
No,
crypto
I actually
conference.
am not speaking this year, so hopefully next
Oh,
year.
okay. But we do get speaking opportunities. I know you got one recently, all expenses paid to Germany, right, for a conference due to your personal branding efforts.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and that's actually how we met as well, Jerry, is from our own efforts of self-branding, our account. And we've talked about this before, our accounts kind of crossing each other in the For You page on TikTok. And I know I've gotten other speaking engagements. I've had people reach out to me, and just say, hey, let's chat, let's talk. Because I think people like seeing that kind of content on LinkedIn or elsewhere, and they just they want to just kind of like talk shop without worrying about am I necessarily going to sell something to you. So I think that tends to resonate with a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, and it's also because we're credentialized in really specific ways, right? Which might be different than your average everyday fanatic for a specific emerging tech area. So,
Hmm.
even though it's crypto, you've got that legal background as a tech attorney, right? So you definitely come from a perspective where you can speak to those legal issues, which is definitely an angle that not everyone considers. I mean, they might talk about it, but you'll know more in detail. Whereas I have kind of the digital forensics background, where I'm a testifying expert, and I think about the way this technology can go wrong. So I think that appeals to a lot of these event organizers, and
Hmm.
the cross section between our specialty areas and the emerging tech.
Right. Right. And I also think that special branding, especially, I feel like COVID has really let people drop their guard a little bit and show their true selves. Because a lot of times we're showing people our homes, if you're working from home and having video chats. And I think being able to be real and kind of share things about yourself, like this is my dog, this is my garden, this, and also still talk about things professionally. I know, some people may not like it because it may be a little bit too much fringing on Facebook, but I think that we're all humans. We all work really, really hard, and I think being able to kind of share that personal side of you is very, compelling, and I think it gives people the strength in having their own voice to share their own stories.
Yeah, agreed completely. And for LinkedIn, it's come a long way. It's no longer just a
Hmm.
resume or CV repository. I think that's where we do most of our personal branding, right, Cassie? And
Yeah.
and it's nice to let people know, whether it's your coworkers and colleagues who largely work remotely. I saw that Jeremy Thomas made a comment. He's just joined us at FTI, and he's in the Houston office. So welcome, Jeremy. And this is sometimes the best way, or the only way, or the most convenient way where we can get some exposure to one another and really just understand our personalities. But it's also reaching out to, vendors and business partners and customers, and they I think get a better sense of who we are personally through this branding
Mhm.
effort, and appeal, and it might appeal to them, and hey, I want to work with that person, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's
Yeah, and go
Oh,
ahead.
no, I was gonna say, as long as you don't have, like, a terrible personality, I think it's nothing but beneficial to put yourself out there and let your guard down a little bit and show people that you're not in a suit and tie every day. I threw on this cowboy hat just for fun because I think I like to have fun on Fridays when we have our live podcast. But that's just my way of letting people know who I am authentically, right? And, still stay professional in what I say and what I communicate, but, show people my, personal side too.
Well, I will definitely be wearing a hat for our next session, so you'll just have to wait and see what hat I will be wearing.
I'm a
But,
I'm a hat guy, so, I've got tons of hats, and
I love hats.
yeah, I love hats. I thought you were gonna wear a Rock Band T-shirt one of these podcasts.
I did, and I just don't think I really showed it. I
You
think
didn't.
I wasn't far enough from the screen. I was wearing a Radiohead t-shirt from going to see them in concert. But yeah, I was wearing a Radiohead concert t-shirt for one of our
Cassie,
sessions.
consider our live podcast on Friday, like, casual Friday. Feel free to to dress down a little.
Yeah, I've been accused of being a normcore, having a normcore fashion sense. So that's pretty much most days for me. So shouldn't be too hard. But I will try to have something. You know what? Damon one year, my husband Damon, for my birthday, I really love llamas, and he gave me a sweatshirt of a llama on um like a sandwich flying through the air with donuts everywhere. I
That's
need to find that
hilarious.
sweatshirt and maybe wear that. So,
Yeah.
just be on the lookout.
Yeah, and I mean, this might be a little opportunity for a plug. Cassie, designed a shirt for us, and the idea
Mhm,
behind this vehicle that you and I have around all your data is, yes, it's a personal branding thing, and it's our way of really communicating thought leadership through podcasting. But also, we want to do things for charity, and for social good. And so for the merch that we do sell, and I'll put it up on the screen, we designed a T-shirt. It's a women's Razorback, just in time for the hot weather. That says "Deep
mhm.
fake it till you make it." Right. So it's a play on words there from the phrase "fake it till you make it," and that's something that you can purchase. And we talk a lot about deep fake, so that's something funny, and we'll offer some more things along the way as time goes on, but ultimately all of the net proceeds do go to charity. So that's something that we're into as well. So since we were talking about t-shirts, I thought I'd mention that.
Right, yeah, no, I love it. Well, we need to get an all your data cap or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
All your data hat, cowboy hat maybe. But yeah, lots of fun things on the horizon. The biggest challenge is just time
time.
to kind of put our ideas to fruition.
And we got a lot of ideas. There's no short of ideas between me and you.
We do. We do.
I'm going to move us on to the next take. Cassie, this one's yours. It's take
Mhm.
two. Boys Club. Tell us a little bit more.
Yes. So, Boys Club was really my first introduction in a meaningful way to crypto and to Web3 or the new internet, whatever you want to call it. And I read an article a little bit over a year ago talking about this women's group that was organized via a Discord server. That was really the purpose of it was just to get more women engaged, and interested, and involved in the Web3 space, women and non binary people. Because, anytime there have been tech advances in the past, usually it was largely led by men. Now women have, gained more leadership in the area, and this is a perfect opportunity for us to like force ourselves to the table and engage. So join the Discord server, and it's definitely a safe space to learn about crypto. They assigned me with a wingman, someone who's very well versed in crypto, who talked me through how to set up my first wallet, how to buy my first, crypto, how to buy my first NFT. And that really, like, for me, I felt very unsure about doing it without someone walking me through it, because there's not a lot of, at least like a year ago, there's a lot of information in a lot of different places, but not really clear instructions. I found that might be different now, but it's really kind of evolved over time where it was just like an info space. They have a podcast. The two founders have a podcast, which is really good, relatable podcast just to listen to. There's some really great members. I believe that there's a wait list to join the Discord server because it is private and closed. Um, and they've dropped a few NFT projects, not anything huge. And really it's a mechanism to have community. It's a mechanism for education. It's a mechanism for builders, people who are out there trying to have startups and really like lift each other up and really be kind of a cheering ground. And I'm gonna meet some Voice Club people in Consensus for the first time. So I'm very excited.
Nice.
I also just bought some merch. They have a sweatshirt drop, so I was able to get that, and just very excited about it. I feel like I'm the oldest person like in the Discord server, but I do think that it keeps you young, right? I mean, so and a lot of it is just people feeling like they want to ask. Some of the questions get very technical. There are
Hmm.
some incredibly sharp people in the group, some of whom are founders of some very interesting Web3 organizations, and then we'll have like a skincare channel to kind of talk about things, or talking about travel, or just funny things we're finding on Twitter. So I think for me, learning in this area, it was very, again, having that safe space to learn about it, ask questions, and just be able to feel like you can learn it, because there's so much jargon and there's such a high learning curve to some of this stuff that it just is nice being able to have people to go like, what is dank sharding? Like, what's that about? Or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a great organization. They have a DAO that's really focused on guilds in the like the main pillars of the organization, that they're going to have like season based engagement involvement. So you can pick whichever guild you want to be a part of, and I've participated before in the review guild and help write a paper. But it's just, and again, it also just diversifies your people you're in contact with. So you're not just talking to e-discovery folks all the time. And I think that's really important to hear different points of view. So
No, that's great. And, even though it's called the boys club, is that meant to be kind of ironic or
yeah,
yeah, because
yeah,
it's
tongue in
anything but
cheek.
a boys club, right? And the atmosphere is not a boys club atmosphere where, you have a very isolated or secluded or privileged access, and there's not gatekeepers there, and there aren't a bunch of
Hmm.
it's not centered on intimidation of new people learning things, but it sounds
Right.
like a very welcoming space. So
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
awesome.
All right. Well, your next topic is yours, and it's artificial general intelligence. I think I know what this is, but let me hear it from you.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to introduce this into the nomenclature if you haven't heard it already, because you're starting to hear that buzzword brought up more and more often as the generative AI stuff gets more sophisticated. A lot of it is very specialized right now, but with the impressive results that people are seeing through GPT-4 and the ChatGPT for implementation, along with all of the other competing AIs and large language models, you can't help but think, how close are we to having this technology reach a real human level intelligence or human level capabilities, right? So when you talk about AGI or artificial general intelligence, it's really a hypothetical or theoretical state of AI where it reaches that level and it can accomplish any um, human task, and it will understand its environment to adapt to those environments, learn from it, and accomplish tasks ad hoc, right? So not so much you know um, a generative pre-classified trainer type of scenario where it's already, but the learning basis of that is much broader than the kind of fine-tuned back and forth chat dialogue that ChatGPT has, or some of the multimodal type of functionality that it has now with the latest version, but other tools are also adapting, and the use cases abound. But when does it reach a point where it proliferates that it basically can accomplish anything a single human being can do. So it's wrapping all of that into some kind of generalized baseline so that it can figure things out as it goes, which is somewhat frightening, right? But exciting for others at the same time.
Right. And whenever I first read about this, I was reading about the anticipated launch of ChatGPT 5 and the end of the year, and that's what they're aiming for with ChatGPT 5, and should have ChatGPT 4.5 maybe this summer.
Okay.
So, and maybe we should just have another reminder, PSA folks, if you're using ChatGPT, do not use proprietary, personal, or privileged information in the prompt because it's going out there to the general world.
Yeah. What was the news item, Cassie, this past
Sam-
week? Samsung.
Samsung.
Yeah, they permitted their employees to use it to aid with the coding process for some of their source code uh, projects, and it's great at doing coding, but in order to get the
Oh,
feedback on how well formulated the code is, or to get suggestions on improving the code, you got to put the code in there in the first place. Oh, let's see here. Can you hear me? Okay, are we okay now?
yeah,
Back
we're
online?
good. We're good. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, just be very careful about what you input into there, especially if you're doing it to turbocharge your work productivity. You're inclined to maybe put some stuff in there that's considered proprietary and confidential to your employer, like what happened with Samsung. And that, not that, this was designed, like OpenAI designed to, purposefully capture this trade secret
Right,
or, intellectual IP type information, but it's just part of everything it collects, which is
right,
to enhance
right.
the training of the model, and it's all part of their T's and C's, right? So whatever you put in there could be used for training, but if you do go through the API, if anyone saw my LinkedIn post, if you do leverage the GPT API, you could build a front end. So Samsung certainly has the wherewithal or the resources to build a front end that emulates Chat GPT results, and especially in terms of that source code co-piloting type help for generating code or QCing code. Just build that, and if you go through the API per the T's and C's, OpenAI will not use any of that data sent back and forth through the API as part of its training model.
Well, and I think it's important, and we've talked about this offline, the likelihood of shadow IT, people using it, even if Chat GPT is, an excluded site in your corporate, internet access via your IT department, people may just still go and use it on their personal devices. And then you have device creep. And that's really what you don't want to have happen. Your employees may be engaging in using their private devices where otherwise they wouldn't, just to use that. And then maybe they're like, well, I'm going to send a text message now. And, it just can kind of continue to creep. So as mobile data use is getting more attention in the courts, just
Yeah,
being more mindful and realistic as a, CISO or security or data privacy groups, on the corporate side, just being aware that's out there. And maybe just sending an email to your employees is not enough. You probably need to actually have some sort of presentation out there to really make people stop and pay attention and understand the ramifications. Because I think we get so much email sent to us and we just like don't pay too much attention to it, unfortunately.
yeah, all of the policies and procedures, the user handbooks, the training and certification, I think all needs to be upgraded. It's the same sort of thing that companies are already doing. They just need to incorporate these new technologies or these use cases into that program. So the
Hmm.
program definitely needs to be updated for the generative AI generation of technology. So it's
Right.
much of the same. We're already experiencing that creep, like you said, through remote work and post pandemic and everything. It's that enterprise security perimeter is a lot more vulnerable nowadays, and
Hmm.
you have to be mindful of that.
Right. Right. So
I'm
now,
good. Yes,
take 4,
take 4.
Phygital Fashion. Have you heard of this before? I'm sure you have, Jerry.
I do know what I know the mashup between the two words. That's about all I know about Phygital.
Yeah, so phygital is, to your point, a mashup of physical and digital. And one place it can occur is in the metaverse. So phygital fashion is not just one thing, or phygital merchandise is not just one thing. It could be multiple things. It could be a AR or a VR filter, like we could create a filter that had all your data t-shirts, all your data hats. So whenever you go on IG or whatever, you could put that filter on and that would kind of be considered digital fashion, especially if we then had the AR VR fashion available for sale. So you could have it in physical form or you could wear it in digital form via an app. Another type of digital fashion is within the metaverse. You can create fashions for people to buy and associate with their, for instance, Ready Player Me accounts. And usually the mechanism for kind of linking those together is an NFT. But that's one thing you can do, and usually like that fashion is going to go in that avatar with that fashion is going to go to different applications, so you're going to be able to bounce to different games, different places that is engaged with Ready Player Me, for example. It's all going to go. It's kind of like Wreck-It Ralph, where they were going through the different video games, in the off periods. That's what our avatars are going to be like. Not it's happening now. It's just not as commonly used. And then another way digital fashion is being used is using NFC technology, near field communication, which is when you use your debit card and you just touch it and it makes a payment, you don't actually swipe it or insert it. That's NFC technology. You can have an NFC device in high luxury fashion clothes as a mechanism to confirm it's authentic. So to kind of attack the proliferation of counterfeit goods, some brands are using these NFC devices to help confirm authenticity. And there's even, I think, using them, I think at a metaverse conference, some brands were using NFC type devices to kind of check in and nearly use as a PO app. Like when you came close to that person, you were able to get a
That's
PO app because you
cool.
actually talked to that person. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different use cases for it. And I don't know, Jerry, maybe we should research, is there a way we can build our own, AR filter out there? I think that might be something fun to play around with. Another one of those ideas we can try in our free time, but it's just kind of interesting. I think that a lot of metaverse talk has cooled off a little bit, but there is a lot of interest, I think, in the fashion space. And how much of that sticks, who knows? But I think the tie-in to authentication, especially trying to tackle the counterfeit goods, I think is a really compelling use case. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's bi-directional too, right? So if you buy the physical version, sometimes you're awarded the digital version of that. So for example, if we sold a yellow hoodie with pink AYD writing on it for all your data, you would also get included as part of that price, or maybe for something additional. I think for now it's included, given the state of NFTs. But you would get a fungible or non-fungible token version of that same item, so that you could attach it as something wearable in the metaverse, or maybe in even a still avatar photo of you wearing the exact same thing.
mhm,
So it's a representation of it in the physical realm and in the digital realm. But I think you could also buy, if you did opt for the digital version, they could send you a physical version of the sweater too. So just one thing drives the other.
right.
The tail can wag the dog on this one, depending on where the appeal is. You might be in a 3D virtual world game where you're buying these items and they shipped you an actual version of it. I know they're doing this with like a lot of the multiplayer fighting games or shooting games, where the weapons that you use in that game to fight one another, they'll send you, probably at an extra cost, but I don't know because I don't play those games. But if you somehow won or purchased that weapon, they'll send you a real life version of it, which is really
Interesting.
that, that kind of
Well,
you
and I
can find direction.
and I think something that's interesting to think
Our
about is
last thing.
oh,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Jerry. I was just going to say, I think an interesting thing to think about is what's going to happen over time as we buy those phygital goods and maybe the digital and the physical get separated from ownership? And will that be, will there be an antiques roadshow in 20 years where if you have both of them, it's really going to have an increased value? So just something interesting to think about. Hey, Jerry, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hold on. Oh, you can.
You're breaking up a little.
But I'm going to try my internet, as a matter of fact. Okay, testing,
Jerry.
testing.
Okay, that's better. That's better. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. So, anyone who's still watching right now, can you let us know who you're able to hear better, me or Jerry, if anyone's still listening? Hello. Oh, Cassie, you guys can hear me. Jerry, well, okay. So the poll is in. You all can hear me and you can hear Jerry. So I know that Jerry has one more topic left. So we'll wait just a little bit to see if he dials back in, but I would love to hear from the audience. As to which of those you have more questions on. Again, I think the digital goods is interesting, or just digital assets in general, because I feel like it's so new right now, but what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years with those assets? So yeah, it looks like Jerry's is the issue. But I just think it creates an interesting thought exercises to what's going to happen there. Take the afternoon off. Yeah, the weather's kind of cloudy and cold here in Texas, but you may be right. It may be time to wind down soon. I know that we're at the near end of our 30 minutes. So I may go ahead and wind things down since Jerry's not been able to hop back on. And I just want to say thank you all for joining in. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend. Keep learning and keep on thinking about. Oh, there's Jerry. Jerry, I can't hear you. I can see you move, but I can't hear you. Hello? I can't hear you still. Okay, Jerry, I think that I don't know if the issue is resolved. Hello? All right. I'm going to call it, guys. And again, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And my dog Zuzu wants to tell you bye too. Jerry, we're going to wind down. Bye. Have a happy weekend.